What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. So if you hear noise in the background, I apologize. I am suffering through not having any air conditioning right now. My home was affected by tropical storm Debbie last week. And so we did have a power outage, and the air conditioning has been blown due to a power surge. So I have been waiting for the home warranty company to get this situation rectified. And because it's a costly feature, they are dragging their feet. So I have a fan blowing in the background right now. So, anyway, let's just go ahead and get into this topic. I wanted to share this video with you guys. I saw this a few days ago, but Donald Trump is unraveling more and more by the moment each and every day that he, by the grace of God, is allowed to even continue to wake up. Because let's be clear, he's 78 years old. Now, he's not the oldest person still alive. We know Joe Biden is not much. He's a few years older than he is. And there's some people that are much older than Donald Trump that are still living, but also they are more active and thriving and more coherent and definitely more truthful than he is. So I love to see it, but more than love to see him unravel, I really love to see people be honest with the fact that this liar, consistent, blatant, malignant liar, is unraveling, and people are being honest about that. So I'm going to share this video with you guys. I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to go ahead and get into this video. All right, so let's get into it.
There has been a lot of focus lately, and for good reason, on the huge crowds, all the packed arenas across the country that are out there, all the people supporting the Harris Walls ticket. We're showing you some of the footage there. And these crowds tell us, of course, that people are excited. They're energized. And Trump's reaction to these crowds has also told us a lot about him. I mean, after Harrison Walls filled yet another arena in Michigan with a sea of very real, alive supporters, the former president of the United States and Republican nominee posted a statement on social media. And I'm going to read it to you in full, because seeing it is one thing, but hearing it is another. I'm also going to tell you why. So here it is, quote, "Has anyone noticed that Kamala cheated at the airport? There was nobody at the plane, and she AI'd it and showed a massive crowd of so-called followers. But they don't exist. They didn't exist. She was turned in by a maintenance worker at the airport when he noticed the fake crowd picture, but there was nobody there. Later confirmed by the reflection of the mirror-like finish on the vice presidential plane. She's a cheater. She had nobody waiting, and the crowd looked like 10,000 people. Same thing is happening with her fake crowds at her speeches. This is the way the Democrats win elections, by cheating. And they're even worse at the ballot box. She should be disqualified because the creation of a fake image is election interference. Anyone who does that will cheat at anything."
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. Now, at first glance or first reading of this tweet that he did, because I believe this is something that he did on Twitter, maybe not on his own social network that is crashing by the moment as well, just like he is. But at first read of this, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and it is, saying she cheated. Has anyone noticed that Kamala cheated at the airport? Like, any person with common sense, they're reading it, common sense, they're reading that and they're like, what the hell is he talking about? She cheated at the airport. And talking about the crowd size, there was nobody at the plane and she AI'd it and showed a massive crowd of so-called followers, but they didn't exist. Now, listen, this statement that he wrote up, this isn't written for people like you and I. This isn't written for people with common sense. And I'm sorry, not sorry to disparage any of the people that follow him that go to these rallies that he has, which honestly, they're not even really political rallies. All they are wine sessions, brag sessions about himself, and praise sessions about himself. So the only people who go to those rallies are the people that are not in anywhere close to the tax bracket that would be beneficial if he were in office and when he was in office. So a lot of those people that are wearing those MAGA hats and are going to the rallies, that are sitting in these rally seats holding up these signs, they're not the people that actually are only really voting for him because it benefits them financially. Those are the people that really don't benefit from him being in office. They more benefit from Joe Biden right now being in office. They would benefit more by Kamala becoming the president. They would not be benefiting by living like the things that they actually need to live by having Trump in office. And that's the sad thing about it. But that's why I say sorry, not sorry, because everybody's responsible for their own lives. And if they want to live this life of worshiping and praising this guy because of whatever, then that's on them. But it isn't going to benefit them living, really. All the emotional bullcrap that he talks about and the other stuff that they focus on when it comes to Roe v. Wade and transgenders playing women's sports and stuff like that. Like, is that really affecting their lives personally? Let's be clear, it's not. But I digress. For those who dig deeper and they read the statement to see what he's saying, what he's doing is he's already building up the momentum of all they do is cheat. So if she wins the election, the only reason why she won is because she cheated, because the only way they can win is by cheating. So this isn't about wah wah wah. She had more people at her, they're saying she had more people at her rallies and at her speeches than I did, which a part of it is that because he's a malignant narcissist as well. So it can never be anyone that outdoes him. So he always has to say things like, nobody ever had crowds like I had. I've always had the biggest crowds ever. I had more people out at my crowds than Hitler had when he was making his speeches in Germany. Like, he might as well say that. I don't think I've ever heard him say that. But this man has compared himself to Jesus Christ. He's compared himself to Martin Luther King. Compared himself to Abraham Lincoln. And it's like, who is he? He's really nobody. He's inherited the stuff that he has. But let me just go ahead and continue this video.
Those are Trump's words. He posted them. Now, if a friend of yours or someone in your family posted that on social media, you'd be very concerned. I mean, you might even try to get them some professional help, like right away. But this is not your older uncle or your neighbor who's losing it. This guy wants to be the commander-in-chief again. Here's what Harris campaign senior advisor David Plouffe tweeted. Quote, these are not conspiratorial rantings from the deepest recesses of the internet. The author could have the nuclear codes and be responsible for decisions that will affect us all for decades. And he's right. I mean, one of the biggest stories of this presidential election right now should be that one of the candidates is spewing unhinged conspiracy theories, usually reserved for the darkest corners of the internet. Now, on a personal level, this type of unhinged conspiracy spewing is something a person does when they are on some level quite disconnected from reality. They are maybe frankly unwell. But I'm not here to diagnose Donald Trump. I'm here to look at what is happening underneath all that crazy. Because when you cut through the craziness, the random capitalization that you might need help, like right now, vibe of that post, there is something perhaps more sinister happening here. I mean, if we're being generous and acknowledging there could be some level of strategy here, this is all part of Trump's sinister plan to undermine Kamala Harris, to prime his supporters to question the outcome of the 2024 election, to condition his base to not even believe what they're seeing with their own eyes. He uses words like cheater, cheating, fake crowds. This is all in this post. Should be disqualified. These are messages to his followers.
And that's exactly what I was saying. Election interference, seriously.
Of course, this is far, far from the first time Trump has done this, even just over the past few weeks. I mean, take NPR's fact check of Trump's rambling press conference that was very hard to watch at Mar-a-Lago last week. They found that he lied a whopping 162 times in 64 minutes, which, by the way, is not exactly easy to do. And one of those lies that he repeated several times was suggesting that Harris's nomination is unconstitutional. Of course, as NPR put it, there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution about picking presidential candidates. And earlier this month, who can forget when Trump said that Harris happened to turn black? So basically, the crowds aren't real, her support isn't real, her spot on the ballot isn't real, her race isn't real. Don't believe what you are seeing. Believe me, that is what Trump is doing. And here is why. I mean, right now, he's looking at a race where his opponent is leading in 3 of the core swing states, raising a whole lot more money than him, holding a whole lot more events than him, and is about to go into an enthusiastic Democratic convention. Harris is doing really well right now. Doesn't mean it won't be a tough campaign. She's doing well right now. So Trump is looking for ways to delegitimize her support and even her standing on the ballot in an effort to call into question what could be a victory for her in November. In other words, reality isn't looking so great for Trump. So he is sowing doubt in reality. It's an old trick of his, favorite trick of his. Just ask Joe Biden. And it's happening again. So yeah, Trump is coming across as unhinged and unwell, and he may be both. But to the extent that there is a strategy underneath his incredibly concerning behavior, this, in my view, is it. Now, George Conway is a conservative attorney. Sarah Matthews is a former Trump White House deputy press secretary. I know they both have a lot of thoughts, and they both join me now. So, George, I'm going to start with you because you've not held back on Twitter. You never do. You never hold back in person either, reacting to this post from Trump. So don't hold back now. What does this post say about Trump and where he thinks he stands in the election?
He is a decompensating, narcissistic sociopath. He is a very unwell person. I've been saying this for years. If you go through you don't want to diagnose him, but I think if you look at the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder in the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, he fits every single one of them. It's like the criteria were made to describe him, and we can observe that just from 1 week, but we've been observing it now for 7 years. And what happens to these characters, and these are the type of people who become cult leaders, authoritarian dictators. These kinds of people ultimately go too far and they destroy themselves. And when they reach that point of no return where they're basically spiraling, they become delusional.
And he's spiraling right now, 100%. He absolutely is delusional. And Lord, let it be sooner than later that he just self-destructs. Seriously.
They can become psychotic. And I think what we saw with this tweet yesterday is that last final collapse of Donald Trump's mental state. I mean, you think about it, saying that those were like 50, 60, 70,000 people in the aggregate in five rallies in different states. Jonathan Chait put this, of New York Magazine, put it this way today. It's like, that's loopier than saying that the moon landings were staged, because there were tens of thousands of people were there. And there are hundreds of people taking photographs and videos. To think that is crazy and to try to sell it to people is just as crazy. He's done. His brain is fried.
And the sad part is, yeah, his brain absolutely is fried. But the people that believe what he is saying, that's the part that baffles me. The people that actually believe him. And that's why he can go on saying these crazy things. The people that, one, believe him, but even worse, because the people that believe him are like the people that I described that go to his rallies. But two, even worse, are the people like his running mate, J.D. Vance, the people like Tim Scott, the people like Lindsey Graham, the people that prop him up and all they care about is themselves and their own political ambitions, not being representatives of the people that they're supposed to be representing. So they continue to support him and agree with the things that he says because it's in their own best personal interest, not what is best for the country, period. So that's why I respect people like George Conway, because he actually used to be married to Kellyanne Conway, who is one of Donald Trump's close aides. She helped him in his first run for the presidency, and she had a position in his administration. And now she's trying to help him to regain that power again. And George Conway, he continued to speak out so much that even his marriage to Kellyanne is no longer. And I respect him so much for that. She's the one that coined the term alternative facts when people confronted her about Donald Trump's lies during the first during his first time serving as president. I would say his only time sitting in the office of presidency. I wouldn't even say serving as president, because he didn't do anything but serve himself, continue to line his and his family's pockets and do things that were going to be beneficial for him. So, yeah, I'm going to play a little bit more of this.
So, Sarah, I mean, you can also add to anything George said. By all means, he kind of covered it there. But I mean, I read that because I think it's important for people to hear, right? I mean, those are Trump's words. He posted them. No one's making anything up here. It's a lot for people to manage on the campaign. You've worked for him. What's going on there behind the scenes?
I think that he feels this election slipping away from him. And that's where you're beginning to see him spiral and cling to these conspiracy theories, as you noted, with the AI generated crowds, which obviously can be easily disproven. And despite him claiming that there's this photo with no reflection of
Don't feel like you have to explain it.
I know. It's insanity, though. It truly is. And there will be people out there that will believe it, though, because he's pushing it. And that's what happens when he gets desperate, is he pushes these conspiracy theories. And not just this one, it's him kind of leaning into Kamala Harris's racial identity, or him even going after and attacking the popular governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, and his wife. These are not winning campaign messages, but that is what he does when he feels like he's under attack, is he uses these kinds of lines of defense that don't make much sense for campaigning. I can assure you that his campaign team is telling him to talk about policy. They want him to go out there and talk about the economy and immigration and things that voters actually care about. Because I can assure you that none of these things that he's talking about in his rallies or his Truth Social posts are things that are top of mind for most voters.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there. I'll put the link to the full video in the description if you want to check it out. But I love to see more and more people like these people that are coming out and speaking about the delusion and the unhinged ways of this, my personal opinion, monster in orange skin and horrible hair. It's just absolutely insane that we're still having to deal with this man all these years later. Like, seriously, I'm over it. So let me know your thoughts on everything here that you saw. Again, I have the full video link in the description box if you want to check it out. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Thank you for bearing with me with this fan in the background, as I am just so aggravated by not having AC. But I appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.